Good afternoon. How are you diddling? Excellent. Me too. Thank you very much for asking. Welcome to another episode of Dazed and Confused, my 3 times a week live show where I chat to you about social media, about video, and all the stuff that hopefully you could be doing for your brand and for your business for free. My second favorite 4-letter word in the entire world. And today we're going to talk about the fact that it is World Creativity Day. And that's something that a lot of people feel they don't necessarily have. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. First things first, though, thank you very much for joining me, whatever platform you're on, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or on Instagram. If you're brand new to these streams, it would be great if you could share this content with your community and make sure they get some value from it as well. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Simon Scholes. I'm the founder and creative director of Perception Studios, and we're an award-winning visual marketing agency based in the UK, and we help brands and businesses create content that makes them stand out on social media. Now, that could be video, animation, aerial work, all sorts of different types of stuff. However, I also realized a few years ago that not every brand and business that I really wanted to work with, the smaller brands, the startups, these are the people I'd love to do some work with. We're in a position to spend money on a regular basis creating content with an agency, but they knew that they still needed to be consistent on their mobile phones, on social media, to grow an organic community so that they could give out their value and remove pain for their audience. So I sat down and went through a process that I'd used myself personally. I'd used it with clients that I'd spoken to in the past. And I also spoke about it on stage quite a lot as well when I did keynote talks. And I turned it into a book. I called it How to 9 Times Your Social Media. And it's a process all about everything from content planning all the way through to podcasting and everything else that goes on in between as well, which is all about making your content work harder for you. So as a brand, as a business, what content have you already got that you could maybe turn into videos or into a podcast or into memes, but basically make that content work harder so that you've got more stuff to put out on a regular basis that's all on message and all on brand. So today we're going to talk about the fact that it is World Creativity Day. Hello to Mr. Steve Thompson has just joined us. Hello, Steve. And also Rosie as well, who's joined us. And we've got a few people on some of the other channels as well. So World Creativity Day. I think this is something I get talked to quite a lot when I'm chatting with smaller businesses and stuff like that. They get locked into the idea that they're not creative, that they don't have any creativity, so they've got no ideas of what to make, so they end up not making anything, and then they start worrying about perfection when they do get some ideas, and it kind of becomes this vicious circle of not creating any content and not putting anything out. And me personally, I'm a firm believer if you're not communicating, nobody can hear the value you've got to give. So you kind of have to get over that worry of perfection and creativity and so forth. However, I also believe that creativity, I think it's a muscle. Not in the literal sense, but it's like going down to the gym. I've not been to the gym for God knows how long, since Christmas. So 4 months. Started going back. I'm obviously not as strong as I was, but I'm not as weak as I thought I might be either. And that's the same as your creativity. It might not be as strong as you think it might be, but it's probably stronger than you give it credit for. And also, like a muscle, if you keep using it and keep giving yourself this opportunity to use your creativity, it's only going to get better and better, and you're going to come up with better ideas and more focused ideas and maybe more specific to your actual niche audience rather than this wide open idea that might potentially be there. One of the things that we used to do when I worked in radio was we worked on what's called a FOI session, a fuck off, far out idea session. Excuse my French. But basically the idea is that you would sit down and you go, right, what do we want to achieve? Okay, we want to sell more footballs, and we are Sports Direct. So we'd go, right, okay, we want to sell more footballs. What could we do to sell more footballs? Right, what we will do is we'll get David Beckham in a helicopter over Old Trafford, and he's going to drop a load of footballs for school kids to play with all from around Manchester. Okay, right, we might not be able to afford that. We probably can't afford the helicopter. We definitely can't afford the appearance fee for David Beckham, but we could do the footballs. Well, maybe if we take David Beckham out of the equation, we could do the helicopter. And what you would do is you'd come up with these really great, massive ideas and then just narrow them down ever so slightly until you become to the point where you're actually creating the content you want to create that's specific for your niche. And that's what you could do with your content. You could sit down and you could just get outlandish. That's what you want to do, is you want to train that muscle to just start thinking a little bit out of the box. I hate using that phrase. It's like using sky blue thinking, blue sky thinking, whatever the phrase is. You see, I don't even use it. But without trying to get too cheesy on it, you kind of just need to really get that muscle working, really start thinking outside the box, so that when you start to narrow things down, they become more realistic. And then those more realistic ideas will start firing on a more regular basis. But also, you need to stop worrying about, when you start creating this stuff, is perfection. And this is something a lot of people worry about. And this is kind of one of the other reasons people don't put out content. So they don't put out content because they feel they don't have a creative idea. And then when they get the creative idea and try to put it into practice, it's not perfect. Now, I know not everybody's a videographer. That's what my company does. And trust me, some of the stuff I've seen in the past, not everybody's a videographer. I know not everybody can draw. I can't draw for shit, but I've got a friend who is the most amazing graphic designer, and he's done work for some incredibly large blue chip brands out on the planet, and his stuff is seen globally. So yes, I know we're not all skilled in certain aspects, but I'm still a big believer that we have to get over that idea of perfection. Because if that content is never perfect, we will never put it out. It's why I try and encourage my clients, when they start taking on the How to 9 Times Your Social Media process, to do live content. Because it's all well and good doing video. And don't get me wrong, it's great to keep doing and practicing doing video. But the problem is you will always keep pressing stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, because you won't feel it's perfect. You'll stumble over a word, and you'll think, right, well, I better start again, rather than just keeping flowing. And with live content, I'm live right now. I could say something and fall over all of my words. And yeah, I'd look a little bit silly, but I would then continue through with my live piece of content and get through to the other end of it, and would still get my value across, still remove that pain point that I'm trying to remove for my audience. So you need to think, right, actually, is the content I'm about to put out so bad it's going to do damage, or actually, is the value in there? Am I still removing the pain that I want my business, my brand, myself to actually remove? Is everything I want to say still there? And if it is, put that content out. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be the most creative piece of content in the world. But the fact of the matter is, like I said at the start, if you are not communicating, nobody can hear what you've got to say. So if you're not putting any content out, then you're really screwed, because your competitors most likely are. Because let's face it, we're living in a world now where people are starting to understand everything that people like myself and other people like Steve, who's watching on Instagram, have been talking about for years. Social media is where people are. When the TV adverts come on, people pick up this thing, their mobile phone. When they go to the toilet, they take it with them. They sit there scrolling through stuff until the TV show comes back on, or until they're done in the bathroom, or done making a cup of coffee, whatever it might be. But the attention is on the mobile phone. The attention is on the tablet. The attention is on social media. And if you're not on social media right now, then you really are on a hiding to nothing, because your competition are. And yes, it's a saturated market. Yes, it's cannibalized. But if you can put out enough value, give enough help to your audience, rather than worrying about creating perfect content every single time, then they're going to start to see you for who you are, the person who wants to help, the value you've got to give, the pain you've got to remove. And so therefore, if you're an electrician and you've helped them understand how to change a light or put in a new light switch, because those are jobs that you don't want to rip people off to do, when it comes to getting things like a new RCD box put in, or they're moving house and they need electric radiators attaching to the walls, they're going to come to you because they've got an element of trust with you. And that's the same with any business. So hopefully you're going to come off the back end of this live and actually think, right, okay, I could be putting more content out. I could be talking to my audience better. I could be putting more stuff out there. So I'm going to disappear. There's no questions today. I did a massive Q&A session the other day, so if you haven't had a chance to go and watch that, go back through some of my old content and have a watch. If you're listening on the podcast, you can go back and listen to it instead. And if you're watching on the replay and you do have any questions at all, stick them into the comments and I'll do my best to answer them on my next live, which will be this coming Friday. But until then, thank you so much for watching, whatever platform you've been on. If you are brand new and you're not already subscribed, then hit the subscribe button. And on YouTube and on Facebook, you can even hit the little notification bell so you never miss out on a live ever again. But until Friday, please continue to stay safe and have a good one. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.